Hello everybody. I've got a late Octember entry, November 6th. I was going to switch my gas tank to the left-hand tank and fill up the right tank and use the gas in the left-hand tank, which is a few months old. It needs to be used up. But when I hit the switch, nothing happened. So I got my handy dandy book out of master parts, and I come up with this right here, 81 to 83 CK123 excluding 6-cylinder, part number 140-29228. And what exactly is that? Valve fuel tank selector. Look what I happened to get. 140-29228. Group 3.164. Group 3.164. So that's the part. It should fit just fine. A real quick way I used to test this fuel tank valve is this one was still installed in the truck at the time. I'll just simply remove the plug and plugged in the new one and hit the switch. I heard the motor run on the new one, so that told me this one was bad. I suspected this one was going bad because once in a while I'd have to tap on it with a screwdriver or something to get it to switch tanks. And just happened in Octember, or just after Octember, it quit working altogether. So to do the valve replacement, this is the tools I used. Got the handy cut, various pliers, a 1/2-inch offset box wrench. Also have this tool for those clamps, those spring-loaded clamps. I use 5/16 and 1/4-inch fuel line to replace the little segments. The part number is 140-29228. I had this new old stock from 1991. I've had it in my part stash for years. So finally got that taken care of, and then a old pan or something to collect gas. There will be a little bit of gas that spills out. My fuel tank selector valve failed on the 81 Chevy Silverado. I believe this is the original from 1981. So far what I've done is I've disconnected the harness, which is just press that tab up and pull out on the plug. It plugs in right over here, right there. I went ahead and took this nut out right there and bolt where this fuel line will move a little bit. I've taken the 2 1/2-inch bolts out up top. This vintage offset 1/2-inch box wrench worked perfectly to do that. And I just left the bolts in there. I think it'll be easier. Now I got to work on getting these fuel lines loose. I've got a catch pan, so I don't know how much gas is going to come out. Never done this before, so this is a learning experience. So I never did see any YouTube videos on how to take this actual piece out. It's all bypass it or do this and do that. So I'm going to take it out and I'm going to replace it with the exact same part. It's not the exact same shape, but it's the same part number according to my parts list. So enough yapping, let's get to wrenching. Well, now it's time to start undoing fuel lines. Okay. That one's loose. I need that one out of the way. It's just whichever one I can get to the easiest is which one's going to come out. This one's probably going to have gas in it. So I'll come back when I get all these lines off. No need to bore everyone with all this. Well, I got the valve out. It was just a matter of undoing all these clamps with pliers, or I've got that tool that clamps onto it as well. That helped on some of the other difficult ones. But I wiped it down a little bit. There's right in the center of the screen. That's one of the mounting bolts for the valve. One fell out, I'll have to put it back in. But I've got the valve with new rubber line on it. Let's see if I can reach it. Probably not. There. So that's ready to go back in. Okay. Let's put this thing back in now. I'm going to hook all the lines back up and then bolt it back into place. I'm going to work from the top down, get the upper thick pieces hooked up first, and then fasten everything down. It's going to be a mess trying to get this done. I'll get it eventually. Got one hooked up finally. Not very much room to work, that's for sure. Well, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show as well as I wanted to, but I'll just do progress reports. I've got the two upper lines. I would imagine those are the return lines for the left and right tanks. So you see why I wanted to do those first, because these would have been in the way if I hooked those up before I got these hooked up. So next, I suppose I'll hook up the supply lines for the left and right tanks, and I'll be back. And a little while later, I've got all the lines connected back up. Do a startup and a leak test and see what happens. Well, let's see if I solved one problem and created 4 or 5 more. It's good and full. I don't see anything leaking. Let me switch tanks and see what happens. I heard the motor run. So we'll see. Definitely sounds different than the original one. See, I wanted to be on the left-hand tank because that's the oldest gas. I filled the right-hand tank today, so unfortunately there's not going to be a dramatic effect. I'll switch it back to the right-hand tank and then back to the left. I guess it's working. Supposedly on the left-hand tank now. And I can feel it pumping out of the left-hand line. cold, so that tells me it's coming out of the left-hand tank. Cool. Very good. Took me about 3 hours to do this, but I go slow. So that's a quick look at an Octember fail. I'll have to look back to see what I'm up to now. 9, 8, 9, somewhere in there. It's a late entry, but it just happened to pick now to fail after working for 40 years. So thank you for watching.